everyone, True Blue here, and today we are looking at the Melee roster of new characters introduced in Super Smash Bros. Melee and replacing all their alts from Smash Ultimate. If you haven't seen the first part where I did the 64 roster, I highly recommend. I think it's pretty good. But we're just going to hop right into it, get through the Melee cast. What I'm doing, just so for those who haven't seen the last video, I'm looking at their 8 costumes and their references and basically making the ones that I dislike or have rather obscure references and or no reference, fixing them and making them actually good. And here's Peach with all of the references, of course. So we have just her standard outfit, one that is now golden but originally was her Daisy alternate before Daisy was added as a new character, one that is red based off Pauline's original design being the all red, one based off of one of the multiplayer options in Mario Golf, one based off of her appearance on the cover of NES Open Tournament Golf, one based off her wedding outfit, one based off Fire Peach, and a Smash original. Because Daisy's in the game, the gold is supposed to reference Daisy, who's in the game. Again, we don't need it, and the Smash original is gone. Let's take some references. While I want to say the next Smash game would just take all outfits from Peach's Showtime, because it's a great game and more people should play it, these are some references that are pretty deep cuts, and I think people like it. For one, we have the Shadow Queen from Thousand Year Door. This is obviously Peach, of course. It will be like an all-black dress, but Peach's dress in Mario Sunshine actually is different, being a lighter shade overall with the pink around the waist. I don't know how to explain dresses. And her arms are revealed. I think it'd be fun if that was a special alternate. Maybe she even had her hair up as well, since she doesn't actually use her hair in any attacks, unlike the fact that her whole dress is part of some of her attacks, making it difficult to remove that. Now, after Peach, we have her Echo Fighter, Daisy. So we have her original appearance, one based off of, again, Peach's appearance on the NES Open Tournament. Another, which is based off of Peach's appearance in Mario 2, where she looked very different. One based off of Daisy's actual appearance at NES Open Tournament Golf, if you want to retcon Daisy being the girl that was next to Luigi, which I think is a fun kind of headcanon sort of thing. A Smash original, which does look really nice. One based off her Player 2 appearance in Mario Tennis. One that correlates to the wedding Peach dress and kind of the whole wedding aesthetic that they had going for Odyssey, and another Smash original. So we're removing all the ones that are Smash original and relate back to Peach. Daisy, while she may not have as many appearances, does have a notable history that you could take inspiration from, and while some of the things I will put are technically released after, due to how games work, they would have been thought of and in the works by the time, at the very least at the end of Smash Ultimate's life cycle. So, Daisy, of course, made her mainline debut in the original Mario Land, but as a playable character, it was Mario Wonder, which we had Fire Daisy, Bubble Daisy, and Drill Daisy, all of which have unique dresses, which I would like to see. On top of that, Daisy's kind of the character that most people relate to the sports and side games, so I'd like an alt based off of her Mario Kart suit, outfit, tracksuit. It has brighter yellow at the hands, but it's mostly like a tannish sort of color. Like a very light yellow. I think that would be an interesting dress and would, again, relate to Mario Kart. Then Mario Strikers has a nice purple and blue combo that is very heavily present, whereas blue's only relegated to her chest and earrings. So having more throughout, I doubt they would get rid of the dress because, as mentioned with Peach, there are attacks that actually use the fact that it is a dress, specifically her down smash. Next for the newcomers was Bowser. Bowser's interesting because some of these alts are debatable in what they actually do reference, but these are the ones that I saw most people refer to when they said what was being referenced. So obviously you have his normal design, iconic, a Smash original, which used to be different and I believed had a reference, but it's kind of been lost over the years as it's kind of been updated with each game. One based off of Ludwig's sprite. Then we have one based off of I believe Mario Golf. I want to say Mario Golf, if you picked him, it's like his third player option. The red one also comes from Mario Golf. Then we have one based off of his box art appearance from the original Mario Bros. On Famicom, like that artwork, iconic artwork. Bowser's very different, so they took that. This one, while a lot of people are saying it's Smash original, because it technically is, it's actually based off Giga Bowser, who itself has been While it's still only related to Smash, it is so iconic, I think it's fine as its own referencing that. And lastly, a blue coloration, which you could say also comes from Mario Golf, but more likely takes place from Mario, I believe Lost Levels, specifically where the sprite shows up with the bluer tint from the sprite. I like referencing that. At the very least, it references NES Mario again, and that's a fun reference. I'm going to leave the golf colorations. Usually I'd remove them. I'm gonna leave them. I will be removing the one that references Ludwig, because Bowser Jr., because you can literally turn into him. We don't need that. And the basically Smash original, again, I'm getting rid of it. Instead, for one, Dry Bowser. While it's not it would be a very different skin. Come on, it's right there. And playing as a giant skeleton Bowser sounds awesome, even if it's just a white version of the normal Bowser and not actually a custom. That would be awesome. And secondly, letting Bowser. The other characters from Odyssey, Mario and Peach, of course, they have their wedding outfits, or at least Peach is inspired. I feel like you should complete the trio and give us Wedding Bowser. That's a very fun outfit that he wore throughout the game, and I'd like to see it. Next is the Ice Climbers. And you don't see any icons because they're all basically Smash original. Besides their original appearance where they were the blue and pink, almost all of these alts don't relate to anything, not even like real life. They just sort of are fun colors. And Ice Climbers itself is a singular NES title. So while they could have pulled inspiration from either real life, I'm saying that's good enough. Ice Climbers is a solo NES game. Taking any more inspiration, you could take more from the games, relate them back to the very few characters and levels. But there's so little, and that combined with if you just took like fun versions of jackets in real, like there's so little to work with here. I think it's okay leaving them as just a colorful bunch of characters. They're fun, they're fine. No one is clamoring for really unique alts of any of them. Let's leave the Ice Climbers alone. Next we have Sheik, and this one is weird. Specifically Ultimate, it's weird. So Sheik has her standard design, and that design is based off of not an appearance she's actually worn. In Breath of the Wild, you can get a Sheik outfit that looks very similar to Sheik's standard attire, and that is what based the Smash Ultimate design on. In that game as well, in Breath of the Wild, you can dye outfits different colors. The red, purple, green, black, and yellow all seem to be dyed versions of that outfit, but they do date back to previous games where they were sort of references, sort of Smash Original. That being said, they don't really have references at this point in time. But you could technically make the argument that they relate back to dyeing that one specific outfit, which I call BS. Anyway, the third alt is actually based off our original design from Ocarina of Time, because it was slightly different. And the last alt seems to be based off of Impa from Hyrule Warriors, which had a very unique color palette, and a hot take, my favorite design of Impa in any of the games. So we're getting rid of all the basically Smash original, and Sheik doesn't have appearances. Like, Sheik has appeared in Ocarina of Time and Hyrule Warriors, Smash, that's it. So what are we pulling from? Well, throughout the games, we've actually seen Impa, many incarnations of Impa, and Impa is the only relative Sheikah character we have seen. So taking inspiration from Impa's designs would be a fun nod and callback to another character who's not playable. Before that, though, I did pick a Yiga clan, so a red and black color scheme. The Yiga clan, well, the opposite, really, of the Sheikah. Since they want to relate everything to Breath of the Wild now, I think that's a fun little, like, hey, there you go, fun reference. But for the Impa designs I decided to take, we have Skyward Sword Impa, which very different than the rest with the color palette. That would be fun. We have Age of Calamity Impa, just young Impa. It's not that crazy of a color scheme. Very, like, tannish, but that's fun. And then Link Between Worlds Impa, which has the old hag sort of color scheme and aesthetic. I think that'd be fun. Lastly, we're taking Tetra. So, spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't played like a 20-year-old game. Sheik is actually Zelda. Shocker. In the Wind Waker, Tetra turns out to be Zelda. So, how a lot of people correlate it is Tetra is Wind Waker's Sheik. I think it'd be really fun if we had a Sheik whose color palette matched Tetra to reference Wind Waker's non-existent Sheik, which itself would be Tetra because Tetra fills in that void. Anyway, speaking of Zelda, Zelda herself, who honestly missed potential in my opinion, I personally think they should have done what they did with, like, Ike as the one character who has both of his designs as, like, half the roster. I think it'd be really fun if we had this Zelda who comes from A Link to the Past, and then have her turn into her Twilight Princess design instead of having it be in her 7th coloration. I think that'd be more fun, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, for the rest of her color schemes, we have a red alt based off of what she looked like if you equipped a specific item in the original Zelda. Then we have her casual clothes from the beginning of A Link to the Past. Then we have her Ocarina of Time appearance, which was what she was based off of in Melee. Then a green Zelda alt, this is based off of what happens if you have a different item. Then we have an alt that correlates to Dark Link with, like, this Dark Zelda aesthetic, not actually existing in the games, this being Smash Original. And her last alt seems to be based off of her Skyward Sword appearance, where she primarily has this white robe, and she's typically depicted with some form of, like, yellow with her hair, or gold with, like, an item. I'm getting rid of, the two that are, let's be honest, equipping a specific item, which sort of switches the NES color palette around, and then calling it a different costume. No, it's stupid. Okay, those aren't alts. They're just recolors. Boring recolors. And while Dark Zelda in concept is cool, she doesn't exist in the games, and there is something we could take instead. For one, her name is Hilda, she is from A Link Between Worlds, and she's Mirror Zelda. I think you see where I'm going. Why the heck was this not an alt? You took her design, which itself, a lot of people are saying comes from that game, but it dates back previously, but it's the one in that game, and this is a recolor of that one. It is a canon recolor of that design that's in Smash. Why didn't you take it? I don't know. But besides that, in Breath of the Wild, this screenshot is from Age of Calamity, because, God, you could not find... There was more photos of people cosplaying this outfit than photos of the outfit itself in the game. But this is Zelda's princess, like, royal attire from the Breath of the Wild Tears Kingdom universe. And it's very unique and fun, so why not give it an alt? I'm not saying make it full-on the Breath of the Wild Zelda, I'm saying recolor the original Zelda's outfit to look like this one. And speaking of that, a recolor based off of a Wind Waker Zelda appearance, just to kind of tie in Toon Link being one of the fighters, of course, in the game. I think it'd be fun if we had a Toon Zelda colored version, where it's all of this pink. She could have the brighter hair, of course. It would be just a nice little touch, and round out the roster with everything relating to different games, of course, different Zeldas. Next, we have Dr. Mario. And Dr. Mario being Dr. Mario means he doesn't really have that much material to work with, but boy did they try. For one, his original attire, which is just a doctor outfit. A lot of times, though, he's depicted with white pants, but his Smash version has, like, jeans underneath. I believe it's meant to look like his overalls. So it is technically different. It's one of those weird touches you don't notice, but like most Dr. Mario, like, in-game renders, he has white pants. Then we have a red, blue, and yellow alt. Each of those alts correlate to the viruses in the game, of course, as there's a red, blue, and yellow virus. We have a green alt, which is meant to depict how the Game Boy basically displays the game with the greenish color. I think they could have gone further with it, but that is what the reference is. I do like it. Then we have, it's called the Bad Doctor, but it's just the Smash Original. A purple one, which is Smash Original. And then a pink one based off of Nurse Peach, or Nurse Toadstool, as she was called by that time. So getting rid of the two Smash Originals, that's easy. And I have two unique ideas. If you recall, Ness has an outfit based off of his tiles used for, like, the menus in the game. I think it'd be fun if Dr. Mario followed a similar idea where the iconic background of Dr. Mario, this blue and black tiles, would be what his outfit looks like. I know that's not really too interesting, I guess, but having kind of this plaid version of Dr. Mario, which references back to his original game, seems fun. And the other one comes from the mobile game. If you don't remember, Dr. Mario actually had a mobile game for a while. It's pretty fun. In that game, there were some alts, of course, and one of them was Fire Dr. Mario. While I'm not expecting him to get the hat, having red underneath with the white hat, with the white overcoat, maybe you do something with the headpiece, I don't know. It is technically just, it's like the only alt that exists with Mario, technically. It's Dr. I'm sticking with it. Next up is Pichu. And for those who don't know, I absolutely hate the Pokemon alts in the games of Smash Brothers. But I will give it to them. They have some pretty unique ones. So for Pichu, we have his standard design. Then we have the swimming goggles, which I believe predates the trainer class, but relates to the swimmer class in Pokemon. A Smash original. One based off of Team Skull's headpiece. One based off of the original Team Aqua headpiece as they were redesigned for ORAS. Then we have spiky-eared Pichu from a Heart Gold Soul Silver event. We have a little flower on his ear, which is in Sun and Moon. I apparently, one of the thousands of cosmetic options in that game is a flower piece that looks strikingly similar to it, so I'm saying that's the reference. And lastly, a Focus Ash. I just think it's fun, and that's my favorite alt. We're getting rid of almost all of them. We are keeping Spiky-eared Pichu because that is a deep cut reference that I love is in this game. The rest, though, again, the same thing applied with Pikachu back then. There's so many versions of this character like you could work with. And I think it'd be fun if for Pichu, we reference the other Pikachu clones and characters. So for the new alts, Shiny Pichu. This is the sprite version because it's more noticeable, but it's supposed to be this more like orange color. And that would be a fun thing. It looks a lot more like older Pikachu and Raichu. Then Ukulele Pichu from Pokemon Ranger. I'm not saying have him have the ukulele in front. I'm saying have it carry it on his back. But like, that's another version of Pichu. Technically a form if you want to consider it that. And it's cute because he has a little ukulele. Then for the Pikachu clones, I picked the ones that basically have the most alternate color scheme to the original Pichu. Pachirisu with the white and blue, Plusle and Minun, they would both have a tannish body with red or blue highlights respectively, and then Togedemaru, who is primarily white with a gray, and then yellow and brown, just like the actual Pikachu. They're all different, unique, and referencing the rest of the Pikachu clones since Pichu is grouped with them, even though it's a pre-evo of Pikachu, so I don't know why you would consider it a clone. If it's just a baby form, that's a debate for another day. I'm not getting into that today. Next up is Falco. And Star Fox, well, Fox himself at least has a decent number of appearances. Falco, of course, sometimes he gets a little sidelined, so they tried. His ults, at least, we have his standard appearance. We have his appearance based in Melee, because he had orange underneath, so they said, what if we made everything a bright orange? I know you're probably looking at that and looking at the normal and saying, what's the difference? It's more of a red. We have a Smash original, one based off his appearance in Star Fox, what is it, Assault? Design I absolutely love, by the way. Another Smash original, one which seems to correlate with, like, the Dark Fox ult, but this one could also be related to a real-life bird. Another Smash original, and then one based off of his love interest from, I'm pretty sure, just, like, a singular game. I don't think she ever reappears, and I think her name is Cat. So let's get rid of the ones that don't really have references, plus the Melee one, because that's not what he looked like to begin with. It wasn't all orange. So having that be considered the reference is a bit of a stretch anyway. Instead, what I'm going to do is what I did with Fox in the last video. Take a ton of other appearances of this character, plus some references of other characters. For one alt that just makes him look like his Melee counterpart. I'm not saying a color swap, I'm saying full on. The more polygons, we have that classic style Falco because Fox and Falco are iconic to the Smash history. Then his appearance in, Star Fox Adventure, which, wow, what a different design. I forgot how different Falco looks in that game. Then one based off his puppet from the original SNES artwork in the box, because that's also very different. Then a color scheme based off of the two other main Star Fox characters of the primary four that aren't in Smash. Peppy Hair and Slippy Toad. I just think having you could switch the blue on Falco and then kind of keep the outfits very samey. That would work as the reference, and you could have all Star Fox, sort of. Next up is Marth. And as someone who doesn't play a lot of Fire Emblem, having to research all the lore and references, I really, really hate that there's so many Fire Emblem characters in this franchise. Anyway, Marth, we have a standard appearance from some of the games, because sometimes his design changes. We'll get to that in a little bit. Then we have what the enemy troops look like being a red, what allied troops look like being a green, one based off of another character from Marth's games, one based off of Leaf from a different Fire Emblem game, one based off his appearance from a different one, which I believe was his Smash Brawl incarnation. They had that style of armor, I'm pretty sure. Then we have a Smash Original, and one based off of this artwork, and or I guess you can consider an appearance. It's more so just artwork, because in-game it looks a lot more like just Marth's normal design, but... So, here's the fun thing about all the Fire Emblem characters in Smash. Because they're in Smash Bros. And not tied to, Fire Emblem itself, which itself is more of a niche, there's a lot of appearances of these characters in different games and places you wouldn't expect, which makes my life so much easier, because thanks to the the singular gacha game and Fire Emblem Warriors, we have alternate costumes for these characters, thank God. So from the gacha game, we have this reddish alt, which looks pretty nice. We have one from Warriors, which is supposed to be like a wedding outfit, fun. We have another one from the gacha game where he's like all knighted out, that's cool. Another one, I have no clue. I tried my best, trying to figure out what some of these alts were meant to be, I have no clue. Then we have like a gold King Marth. I know some people are going to sit here and say, why are you taking inspiration from the alts of these characters in different games and not just like other characters? Like, they actually do in this franchise and Smash with their references. And that's because, well, why not reference more parts of the character itself and not the other characters? Because I'm pretty sure that's what the trophies and spirits are for. Next up is Lucina. And I had a more unique idea for Lucina. Lucina, of course, is very popular thanks to her being an Awakening. And all of her alts do have a reference being other females within Awakening. I want Lucina to represent the woman of Fire Emblem because she's the only Fire Emblem rep that isn't one of the protagonist characters, so you choose the gender and isn't necessarily a character of itself, and more so just a player. If we're looking at they actually are a character in the universe that isn't the player, Lucina's the only girl in Smash, so I'd like her to represent the woman of Fire Emblem. Now, all of these reps are technically from Awakening, and I'm saying that's fine, but I will give this task to you guys. In the comments, let me know the famous woman of Fire Emblem who you think should deserve a color palette based off of them. I know, like, Lynn, big one, she's not here, but she definitely deserves one, actually. Let me know what characters you'd want to see have a coloration based off them for Lucina. And before anyone says there should be an alt where Lucina wears the mask, I agree as well. And you could 100% make a full set of 8 of different costumes she has been given in the external media. But for sake of Fire Emblem is such a big franchise, I want Lucina to cover more of it, because I'm giving most of the Fire Emblem cast just alts from their appearances. Alright, next up we have Young Link, who sort of has references. Some of these are a bit of a stretch, but we'll go with it. So we have his standard design from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, then the Goron tunic and the Zora tunic, which are both from Ocarina of Time. Again, it's just red and blue, but like, they at least make sense in this case. Link looks white when he wears a certain item, and the OG Zelda. Yeah, we're doing this again. Pink is meant to correlate to the fairies, as that's what they're typically presented as, and the Great Fairies with their pink hair. Blue is to reference Breath of the Wild, with the primarily blue outfit instead of the casual green. Orange goes off of the Spirit Temple's symbol, sure. And a dark Young Link to correlate with Dark Link, which, again, Link also has. I'm gonna keep the tunics from Ocarina of Time, since that's the game Young Link appeared in first. And well, I don't think we ever actually get to see a Dark Young Link conceptually exist, and it's cool. I'm gonna leave it. It's a reference. It's fine. I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna replace the rest, though, because they're all stretching it. Instead, a color palette based off of Deku Link, Goron Link, and Zora Link from Majora's Mask. Like a cyanish one with green tips, a brownish outfit with green tips, and I don't know what color that is. It's more of like a light brown, a light orange, but like tunics based off of each of them to reference Majora's Mask, the game that you only play as Young Link. And then in Hyrule Warriors, you have this fun color palette, Ganondorf. Ganondorf is interesting because half the alts don't have origins. This is probably just a carryover from Melee, where Ganondorf was such an afterthought, and it's one of the downsides of its character's appearance in Smash. So we have his standard appearance, which is based off of Ocarina of Time, Smash Original, one based off of Ganon, which is a separate character, but is a big boar, blue boar man thing. Then a Smash original, another Smash original, one based off his Wind Waker appearance, another Smash original, and one based off of his Twilight Princess appearance, which was his previous skin incarnation, and Brawl and Smash 4. And Melee was also Ocarina of Time. Again, I do think it'd be cool if this was another character like Ike, where you could switch between his Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess designs, but neither here nor there. So we're going to get rid of all the Smash originals, and replace it with other incarnations of the character or characters related to Ganon. For one, while not necessarily a Ganondorf, I think having a massive color palette swap based off of Calamity Ganon, and specifically his Age of Calamity appearance, where he's a humanoid, that would be so sick. Like, I just want that in my life, because that just sounds cool. Then we have this appearance from, I think, not Oracle, not the Oracle, one of the older games. Like, this is the artwork for Ganon, very different than what we're used to. That would be a fun one to reference. Then, if you know your Zelda lore, you know Demise is the original one, because the cycle of Ganondorf and Ganon being revived over and over starts with Demise. So referencing his, I guess his base form would be cool. And following that, Demise's servant sword, Girahim, also would be a very fun color palette with the primary white and the red cape. Next is Mewtwo, and oh boy did they mess this one up. So we have his standard color scheme, then orange and blue, which are based off of some of the slight alterations you could get in Pokemon Stadium, because that game does random color swaps for some reason. A Smash original, one based off his original artwork, because in certain lights, I guess you could consider what is supposed to be purple or red. Sure. One based off his original shiny coloration, a Smash original, and one based off of Shadow Lugia. Oh yeah, I got rid of almost all of these. God, these are bad. These are bad. I will keep the original shiny coloration. That is a rather deep cut that I do like. Instead, Mewtwo, being probably one of the most famous Pokemon, has forms and appearances like you could take from. I don't know why they didn't, but you could. One, Shiny Mewtwo. Again, give the Pokemon shinies. Jesus. Shadow Mewtwo. Or, yeah, is it Shadow Mewtwo in Pokken? The Pokken version of Mewtwo. The aura farming Mewtwo, as I like to refer to him. Beautiful design. I would love that. Why did they pick Shadow Lugia instead of that? I don't know. A brighter pink to reference Mew, since Mewtwo is based off of Mew, I think would be fun. In Pokken, if you play with Mewtwo normally, his Player 2 appearance is actually blue. That's fun. Now, I don't think it ever appears in other media, but in the first movie, we get to see Mewtwo when he was first created. And his color palette is a lot more saturated, so that would be fun and a very deep reference. Then, Armored Mewtwo. Well, Armored Mewtwo hasn't appeared in any of the mainline games. He is in Pokemon Go. It counts. Now we have Roy. And Roy does reference a lot of stuff. I'm going to see how much I remember. So we have Roy's casual appearance, his, standard outfit. In this one Fire Emblem game, there's a multiplayer mode, and Roy has alternate colors depending on your role, which is what 3 of the alts represent. Next, we have a character, then his father, the villain from his games, and another guy. We're gonna keep the ones that are color swaps from the multiplayer mode, and we're gonna keep the one related to his father. The other 3, we're going back to the gacha game. Roy, of course, has different appearances. He has this one, I don't know what that's referencing, and then this other one, which is like the red cape, and it's like a fiery, it's pretty sick. And then lastly, this would technically be Smash Original, but I think it'd be fun. A color palette based off of Roy from Mario. It would be a cross-game reference, but because so many people joke about the fact that there's 2 Roys in Smash, and one of them is just, the Koopaling, I think it'd be fun if Roy from Fire Emblem had a color swap based off of Roy from Mario. And for Chrom. Now, Chrom's appearances are interesting. Chrom is a very popular character that I didn't realize since I never played Awakening. I know. Fake fan. We have Chrom with his standard appearance, one based off of, I believe, the main villain. Then another character, Discount Zoro. His concept art, which had him with an all black design. Another character, and his appearance in Tokyo Mirage Sessions, because that game is also Fire Emblem. So like last time, we're just getting rid of all the alts that aren't based off of Chrom directly. None of them have The character-wise, they don't have direct connections, to my understanding, with Chrom, so I'm not going to keep any like I did with Roy. And instead, we're looking at the massive amount of alternate costumes this dude got in the gacha game. And when I mean massive, I mean I think he has more than the rest of the cast. Well, for the dudes at least. I'm pretty sure they just make a ton of outfits for the girls. But for the dudes, at least, he has a lot of different outfits. We have this like Royal Knight design, Santa Chrom, because it sounds like Santa Claus. That's fun. I actually hope they would put that like hat. That'd be fun touch. Then we have this one for, I believe, Easter. One where he's an archer, and one that actually looks a lot like the other one that I showed for Roy. I don't know what these alls are called. Never played the gacha game. Never will. But here you go. And Mr. Game & Watch. Mr. Game & Watch, as a character, is basically Smash Original, so the fact that they had any form of inspiration for some of these choices is honestly impressive. His original appearance based off the characters that you would find in the Game & Watch games themselves, a red color scheme based off of what you would see when you booted up the Virtual Boy, you poor souls, another one based off of what you would look at with the original Game Boy, a Smash Original, and then 3 other ones based off of variations of looking at the Game Boy, because you have like the Game Boy Light, or not like the light itself, but like there's like an attachment and it'll look different. These are all different ways the Game Boy would look in different circumstances. And lastly, one based off of the empty dots of the Game & Watch, as they were unique handhelds, to say the least. And yeah, this is perfect. Unfortunately, all the other consoles had proper graphics. They didn't have unique screens like the Virtual Boy or Game Boy to take inspiration from. The fact that they got so much mileage out of the Game Boy color palette is impressive enough. It references Nintendo history. Like, this is honestly all I could ask for with a character like Mr. Game & Watch, who himself just doesn't have games, because Mr. Game & Watch is representative of the console, you know, like, I'm fine with this. Completely fine with it. That being said, that is everyone introduced in Smash Bros. Melee. I had a ton of fun with this, just like I did last time, and I hope you guys will stick around, because soon enough we'll be getting to the broadcast. If you want to see that, make sure to subscribe, like, do all that stuff so you stay up to date and get it the second I release it. And don't worry, it's in the works, it's coming out soon, I'm not gonna drag it out. That's all I got for you today. Hope you had a ton of fun, and I wish you a lovely day.